Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Raptor Spiritus, and I am back with another one. So, the monthly report is up, and starting off strong, they have this really cool picture. My assumption is it's got to be part of the new science wing, and just looking at it, if it's going to be a bottleneck where you have to fight your way through, this is going to be interesting because you see, like, obviously the boxes and stuff in the middle of the walkways towards the entrance on the opposite side of the bridge. I mean, there's could be lots of NPCs shooting at you, even if they have little high advantage points at the top. So that'll be interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. That looks really cool. They have some stuff for AI content. They have it says AI content continue to progress with several ongoing initiatives, including refactoring one of the NPC archetypes important to landing zone infrastructure. When complete, it will provide additional character to the various landing zones around the verse. AI content are currently working closely with core gameplay to ensure there are contingencies in case the system fails while live. Okay, interesting. It says it was saying to make it uh, provide additional character to the various landing zones. So I wonder what that's going to be. It would be cool if they would have, how like during I think it's, I don't know if it's IAE or exactly where it is, but where for years we've had like the Bengal coming through Stanton like a fleet place to place, stuff like that. What if they have a um Genesis liner flying from uh like place to place? That'd be kind of cool. You know, seeing Genesis liners leaving the spaceport and flying off and stuff. I think that'd be add a little bit of character to it. Um, but that's just speculation, so we'll see. Development continued on a new set of voice packs to refine what was learned from the dynamic conversation added throughout the year. Uh, this is cool because when you go through a bunch of places that have a lot of NPCs, you really can hear a lot of like conversation about stuff, and some of it pertains to just where kind of Star Citizen like the events are happening. They talk about it sometimes in the conversation, which I think is pretty cool. So I'm digging it. I'm digging it. So going down AI features. The AI features team began the month by improving NPC weapon overheating and a feature initially developed for Squadron 42. So now you're getting some bits for Squadron 42, which is should because NPCs shoot guns of all types, and they have to run out of ammo. They should have the same overheating problems that we do when we're firing weapons that will overheat. So I'm looking forward to this because I like stuff being more real and balanced, because realistically the NPCs wouldn't just have unlimited ammo or can fire energy weapons just nonstop. Like, that's not gonna happen. And I think it makes for better gameplay because if they're shooting, you're shooting, they're shooting, you're shooting, and and they end up overheating. It gives you a moment to try to flank them and take them down, or even for you, if you overheat, they could take the opportunity to come at you. So I think it's pretty cool. um it says alongside this, a new firing validator was also introduced for charged weapons. The logic for trigger control was reworked, various issues were fixed. A pre-firing stage was also added for NPCs using weapons, as previously they would only use charged weapons while in cover. A fix was also submitted to tackle an issue preventing NPCs from shooting after their first trigger pull. So basically, it's just improving on NPCs and how they interact with their weapons and when they're shooting at you and stuff like that to make them more consistent. I like that. That's good. Anything that you can improve to make the NPCs, more formidable and a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say challenging, but just make it a little more fun of a fun fight instead of the typical shoot, 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 get around them, shoot them, kind of thing where you have where their guns will jam, or if they're overheat or they're reloading, stuff like that. Just makes it more interesting. So especially in the a heat of gunfire, heat of battle, whatever. So I'm here for that. I like those kind of things. Various behavioral combat improvements were made, including the implementation and bug fixing of reactions to weak spot destruction and distortion damage. Okay. The team are also improving the overall experience for the Copian, starting with fixes to stabilize the flee behavior. Okay, interesting. Communication channel improvements were then implemented to allow for the better coordination of NPC groups with leaders. That's cool. I do like that. The devs also added improvements to automatically calculate when an NPC is alone or not to better filter what they can say and when. So that's cool. So it's just again, it's chopping on the behavior of the NPCs, which is super cool. So the flee method for the Copian, I'm not sure if that's you fleeing or they're fleeing. So, but it's good to see improvements for the Copians. And then the coordination of NPC groups with the leader. So that's cool. So there's ultimately supposed to be, I guess, one a main leader for the group of NPCs that are after you or firing at you or for enemies. So they're all coordinating with them, which is pretty cool. So that means they're kind of like trying to talk to each other to get the better vantage to take you down, which is super cool. Like working in coordination like groups. So I'm so for that. That's so cool. And then an NPC is alone or not to better filter what they say and when. So maybe like if NPCs by themselves, they're gonna keep quiet so they don't give away themselves, which is cool. So I'm here for that. I love NPC improvements for the game, so this is cool. A bug was fixed for NPCs executing audio triggers when dead. Yeah, that's a problem because you hear stuff and everybody's there and the NPC is dead. It's kind of annoying. This is not yet available in PU builds, but will be integrated soon. All right. AI tech, let's see. Let's see here. This, I'm going to skip this one. I know they've said it in a couple other different ones, but I'm going to skip down to animations. So throughout August, animations worked on improvements to the Copians as well as the new creatures, which I hope so because it makes it. The more realistic they can make it, that's going to be cool. They also created assets for the upcoming Med Gel dispenser and made a pass on death reactions to ensure they appear as expected. Okay. I'm assuming the med gels are probably going to be those medical packets that they talked about that are going to be in the recovery beds. I'm drawing a blank on what we call them, but anyway, but you know what I'm talking about. So, because now it's going to be to the point where you have to basically charge the medical beds with something, and that charge or whatever it is, or battery will only have so much regen on it. So if it has 2 regen times and you die 3 times, the third time you're probably gonna end up back over at your original spawning place, unless you have more regen gel, which is cool. So and make people be a little bit better about dying. Facial animation worked alongside mocap and narrative to capture additional content for release coming soon and into early next year. They also worked through previous captured dialogue that will soon be available in game, including for brand name mission givers and additional lines for Amelia Boyd. Okay, cool. In addition, they continue to support the narrative team with SSN newsflash reports that will be visible in game during timed events. That's cool. All right. So, moving on to art characters. Last month, the character art team progressed with armor for a new gang and supported requests for subscriber flare items and CitizenCon Direct. They also continue to work on variants for gameplay, rewards, and store items. The concept art team started the exploration phase for new heavy armor. So it's this new heavy armor. I don't know if it's plural or what. So I mean that's cool. So as you always know me, I'm an armor person. I like mixing and matching them. So new armor is always good for me. I'm not a subscriber, but I know they get a lot of different flair and stuff like that. And I mean, if you're paying extra money monthly for Star Citizen, yes, I think you should get some pretty cool, like unique flair. Uh, I think that they shouldn't just forget about people who will definitely buy uh, armors and stuff like that off of the pledge store. But yeah, I do think like certain flares and stuff that are unique to subscribers should be important because they are paying extra money to be special. So I dig it. I understand. Do the thing. All right, now the cool part, which I'm always happy to get to, the ship art. And we already have this pretty little picture. I already know what this is. It's for the Paladin. It is very easy to see, and this is the front left, if I'm not mistaken. And actually, let's see. So look at the image real quickly. So right there, you could see that is this area right here in that picture. The thruster, that's that thruster right there. So we were getting a quick little glimpse at that little wing area of the Paladin. So that's cool. So let's get into it. In the UK, 3 unannounced ships progressed through August. All are currently in various stages within the gray box phase. One is approaching its final review. One is receiving improvements to components accessibility, and the others recently entered following its white box gate review. So my speculation, 3 unannounced ships. I don't know. If it's ships, I would assume if it was a vehicle, they would say so. I was really hoping it would be like the G12s, but that doesn't seem to be the case because they're talking about it being ships. So I don't know what it is. But we'll see. So if they're unannounced, I mean, it probably might be brand new. Who knows? We will see. For announced ships, the Anvil Paladin progressed into Lot 0 stage, having had feedback from the Gray Box Gate review actioned. The exterior, which was slightly behind the interior, has now caught up, allowing for further refinement between the two. So the Paladins, I know they were trying to work on stuff with the cockpit to make it make sense. So it's making its way. It's in Lot 0, so everything's caught up. This will definitely make IAE, so that's cool. I'm not sold on this thing. I'm definitely not gonna get it, but I know a lot of people might. So all I can say is I hope that when it comes out, that it is a really cool ship for whoever buys it. But it's just I'm definitely not gonna mess with it. It's not my thing. So next thing, the Kruger L-21 Wolf was released, with the team excited to see the reception to the new ship. They also continue to bug fix issues found during the release, such as the glass shatter being excessively worn, alongside implementing the component bays. Such as the glass shatter being excessively worn. I'm not sure what that means. I mean, I think of glass shatter, I'm thinking like, okay, so the glass on the cockpit will shatter when it's getting shot. I don't know. So, okay. The Drake Ironclad and Ironclad Assault progress toward their white box reviews, with the team finalizing the assets kit that will be used across this and other Drake ships. Okay. If anyone who's watched my videos know that this is disappointing because Really and truly, I hope that the Ironclad, at least the base model, would have been out for the end of the year, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So that kind of stinks. But that's such a Star Citizen life, right? So, um, work on the RSI Aurora and Aegis Hammerhead kicked off to bring them up to current standards. Thank the Lord. Again, for my last video, my concept of the Aurora is it needs to be completely redone to something that looks a lot more aesthetically pleasing to RSI, but it does not. So, well, it's fine. But I'm glad they're trying to bring stuff up to standard so that they have components for engineering. Work on the RSI Aurora. Oh, actually, I read that. I'm sorry. The MISC Ho B enter pre-production following the approval of its updated concept. Thank you, CIG. Like forever in a day, it's been the most awkward thing where we've had a whole A and a whole C, but no B. Like it. I'm so glad that you guys finally are bringing this out because it needs to happen. My prediction is that the reason why now we're getting this is because I think because Nyx is going to be somewhere close in the future, and I hope it does because I know Nyx is a big shipping hub, so this would align with that. So hopefully by next year we should have Nyx and the whole B, so it'll give people more opportunity to haul things to places and do a lot more hauling. So I'm down with that. Cool beans. In North America, the RSI Apollo, Medevac, and Triage continue to prepare for release, with testing and bug fixes being the focus. Ships also supported the gameplay teams with medical gameplay adjustments. So I'm interested to see how that's going to work out because, there's not a lot of gameplay for medical stuff. So we'll see what happens. Maybe they're bringing a whole lot of new missions for it, which would be fine because that means it has a purpose. Some of the teams then moved into the related but unannounced ship. I'm not sure what that means. Some of the teams then moved onto a related but unannounced ship. So were they referring to something that's a medical related ship? So I'm curious. I kind of want to know what that means. This pick obviously is the Perseus. So it says right here, RSI Perseus was prepared for its Lot Zero gate review with additional lighting and detail passes being done across both the interior and exterior. That is going to be ready for IAE for sure. We've already seen pictures of it, so it's going to be pretty cool. I really want this ship. It's just right now because of a lot of stuff going on personally, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it, but it's neither here nor there. If I can get it, I will. The Perseus is probably about as big as the ship I really want. I don't want huge capital ships. I do a lot of solo stuff. I do some org things with my org mates, but they're on here and there. And I made a good group of friends around the verse. FC being one of them. And a bunch of people from the Golden Rhinos, which is cool. Some randos that I just came across recently that are pretty cool. So to get a Perseus, this is probably where I draw the line at buying ships because I do not need anything any bigger than that, honestly. So then, lastly, the Drake Kraken's pre-production phase continued too, which is awesome. So hopefully we get this thing next year. I know I have an org that might be about that. So we'll see. And then for the community, let's see. I'm just talking about stuff with Star Citizen, core gameplay stuff. The inventory rework is progressing well too, with the team implementation, proximity looting, which will allow players to loot from multiple nearby inventory containers simultaneously. This new UI has also had filters and search implemented, which is cool. I'm looking forward to that. inventory organization is amazing when it wants to be. And then the economy says last month the economy team progressed with the new iteration of the economy based on data they recently gathered. Let me read that again. Last month, the economy team progressed with the new iteration of the economy based on data they recently gathered. Okay, they should have a comma somewhere in there, but okay. They're currently looking into changes to the buy and sell prices of FPS weapons, armor, and consumables. They're also updating profit margins for salvage vehicles, including components. This is good because I'm going to tell you, I've tried to sell some components and they sell for nothing. You buy them for like 100 grand and they sell for 5, maybe 2. You know, it doesn't make sense. So I really hope with this, when they redo this economy stuff, because some of the things you sell, it doesn't make sense how little you get back for them. If I buy, let's say, an attrition for, 30K and I sell it back, I should be able to get at least half of that, or at least maybe a third, something like that. Buying something for 30K and only getting 2K back is ridiculous. That does economically, that doesn't make sense. So I'm glad they're working on that. So we'll see what happens. And then efforts versus reward algorithm, that is cool because having a balanced game is really important. So this is being done as part of an ongoing initiative to ensure crafting is profitable, revitalize the salvage of vehicle components, and prevent exploits. This is important because this is where you're going to start getting the crafting and base building. So that's an important. So they're basically kind of like getting the game ready for being able to craft items, because we're going to be able to make armor pieces, ship components, stuff like that. So they're gearing up. So this is cool. Mission design. The mission team worked hard toward the release of Alpha 4.3, including the new ASC Onyx facilities, which I think these were great. This is probably one of the cooler things that you've done, CIG. Now, what I think CIG needs to do is do something back with Orison, because you have all those platforms floating around Orison and nothing happening at them. Like that needs to come back. Orison needs, and honestly, it would be cool to put some regular NPCs there, while something crazy is going on. So, and just, go bring that back to just like if it was a bunker mission. Those are fun. Or maybe even do some exploring, for those floating cities in at Orison. That would be cool. That's just something I would love to see, because the one thing I hate is when there's something being underutilized that's there that could be used for some sort of gameplay. So I really hope CIG really starts to use those facilities again, the ones that they've scattered all over Orison, because that would be, or over at Crusader. I'm sorry, I'm mixing it up, but at the Crusader planet, all those platforms that they put up for like Siege of Orison stuff, and I would love to see them being used, because they're just sitting there being underutilized, which is terrible. They also continue to see initiative to improve the mission generation system to help ease the current pain points that affect both the mission team and players. This work is ongoing, but is very exciting already for mission teams to see. So they also continued with their initiative to improve the mission generation system. This will be great because getting variety and stuff, and not being left out of when everybody's trying to grab the same missions and stuff. This is going to create a lot less bottlenecking of people trying to do missions and stuff, and make it, I think, a little bit more flowy. Narrative team. I'm sorry. The last thing on the mission thing, the devs also continue their work to bring existing missions back to older locations, which will expand the pool of availability locations for players and bring back various interesting encounters. This is exactly what I was just talking about with the floating platforms over on Crusader. That's exactly what I was talking about. Thank you, CIG. That is cool. I hope in 4.1 or 4.3.1 we can get this because that would be really cool. So it just spreads it out again, so we're not all on top of each other. Narrative. With the release of AFC Onyx Facilities, the narrative team turned their focus to polishing the next round of content that players will discover there. The team also wrote and captured several new mission characters that will be making their debut later this year as they continue to focus on improving storytelling across Star Citizen. This is huge. This is huge. Oh my gosh! Like mission givers. Now this is really turning into an MMO. Having mission givers that have their own characters and personality. This is what it's all about. I'm digging it. Yes, CIG, let's go. This month's performance capture session also saw the return of an already released character to pick up some additional lines. While not yet captured, Narrative began writing new scripts for NPCs to help flesh out the lore of specific areas in the game. That's cool. The hope is that they will continue to expand the collection of conversations that players can overhear across the verse. We talked about this earlier with the AI behavior. That's great. I'm here for it. Immersion is beautiful. The team also continued to work on developing a new hostile faction that will be making its debut in a later patch, establishing its unique voice and supporting the branding and character art teams. That's cool. I can't wait to see what that is. Hopefully, it's a lot better than the slicers, which was just a bunch of just random people with no personality thrown at something. So this will be cool. Last month, the team also worked with design on updating the text of a few older contracts to align with improved gameplay flow, as well as tutorial missions that will help players understand a new gameplay mechanic being introduced in the future patch. The team additionally crafted a new fiction piece for this month's Subscriber Jump Point magazine that expands upon the current happenings in the Empire. Okay, that's cool. And let's see, online technology, R&D, FX. So I'm gonna stop there. So that's pretty much the monthly report. All the highlights that I think are pretty important. So let me know what you think, and hit me up in the comments. And this is your boy Rapper Spiritus signing out, and you guys stay safe out there in the verse.